Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Reecee News. And I know I didn't do an episode of Reecee News for a while, but that's because there was a lot going on with new games and other news that I had to cover in separate videos. But now I'm finally going to cover some things today. So starting off, it's actually some bad news, or bad news to some people, because I'm not sure if a lot of people are using this anymore, but Netflix is going to be discontinued, or actually was already discontinued for the Wii U and 3DS, since on June 30th they shut it down, and they shut down the servers for Netflix on there. And it's kind of disappointing because they already discontinued it on the Wii also, and there's no Netflix on the Nintendo Switch. Hulu is the only streaming service, or, well, the only big streaming service on the Nintendo Switch. Obviously there's others, and then there's obviously other video content like YouTube and stuff like that on the Nintendo Switch, but it's kind of disappointing that we haven't gotten Netflix on the Nintendo Switch. I suppose there's a lot of other options to watch Netflix, but it is nice to get like a console like the Switch that you can have at home or take on the go, and you can watch Netflix on there. I'm not sure, like, on the go if you'd be better off watching it on your phone, because you'd have to connect it to a hotspot on your Switch, but at least, like, if you're at a place that has, like, internet, you could, like, watch Netflix on the Switch, I suppose. But it's just kind of disappointing that there's gonna be no real option to watch Netflix on a Nintendo console now. So, yeah, they're discontinuing that. That was kind of inevitable, because I think they might have announced it before, I'm not sure, but yeah, like, it was kind of inevitable. I don't think they would really... It's kind of waste of server space to keep those Netflix servers up for the Wii U and 3DS. But next up, we have some quality of life updates for Skyward Sword HD, and as I've said before, I'm not getting this, because even though these are good quality of life updates, I still think it's not worth $60, because these really aren't that significant, and they really aren't doing as much stuff as they were doing in Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD. I feel like they did a little more in Wind Waker HD. I guess, well, the price was better for Wind Waker HD. Twilight Princess HD, they might have done some interesting things there, but it was $60 still, but they did have like a new dungeon in that game. They did have the amiibo bundled with it, which was good, at least if you bought it physically, which was probably what most people did. But with Skyward Sword HD, you can, the quality of life features include optional help from Fee. I mean, that's really good, because I've heard, even though I haven't played Skyward Sword, I heard that Fee was really annoying, and it really interrupted gameplay, and was really kind of a bad feature in the original Skyward Sword. So that's good that it's optional now, and that's gonna help the game for a lot of people, even though I won't be picking this up. It's gonna have enhanced frame rate, which was kind of inevitable. Fast forward dialogue, which is basically a standard that doesn't even need to be like a new thing that they're having in this game. Streamlined item information, so that's pretty good, because you can that makes things faster. Skippable cutscenes, autosave, and skippable tutorial dialogues. So overall, it's really just the standard quality of life stuff. I mean, like, this is really things that we expected. Maybe the optional help from Fee is probably the biggest one here. But, like, these really should have been in the game anyway. I mean, like, I feel like people mostly expected these things, and I mean, it still doesn't make the game worth $60. Even though it's slightly more playable than the original version of Skyward Sword, doesn't mean that it's worth full price. Like, I mean, I would say that $40 is pushing it, but I feel like that's like the highest you can get for this game while being acceptable. I know a lot of people are saying people would still complain if it's $40. I still think $40 is alright for this game, because I mean, they are doing some things, and I guess, like, it would be kind of justified if it was 40, but definitely not 60. I feel like the ideal price for this game and what this game is actually worth is like $30, because the game itself is $20 on Wii U, or the original version of this game is $20 on Wii U, And, like, with these improvements, it's only really worth $10 more, in my opinion. Like, the graphics aren't updated that much, so it's really just an emulator upscale, so it's really just worth half the price that it actually is, which is kind of ridiculous that they're selling this at full price. I mean, Nintendo has been selling a lot of cheaper games lately. I mean, they're still high quality, like Miitopia. That was a really good remaster of that game, because basically everything was redone, and it looks like it's a native game on the Switch. It was originally for the Nintendo Switch. And also there's WarioWare Get It Together, which is $50, and that, like, it looks really good, and it looks like a new step for the WarioWare series, and it looks like it's going to have a lot of content in it, which I'm really excited about. And that's $50, not $60, even though that's $10 less. I mean, it's still worth it for a WarioWare game. And Game Builder Garage was $30, and that's a completely new game that has a lot of options in it, and you can basically make games from scratch on there, and I highly recommend it. And that's only $30, not $60. I feel like a lot of people were expecting that game to be $60, but yeah, I think it's really good that they priced that at $30. But the thing is, Nintendo is having a lot of games that are actually fairly priced recently, and then they just continue to have this game at $60, and there might be more games like this that are $60. I'm not really sure about that, because like, this is a part of the Zelda HD series, and there's probably not going to be any more, because this was the last game before Zelda switched to HD, unless they're going to do the 2D games or make a remake of Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. But either way, this really isn't worth it, and I'm kind of surprised that they're actually pricing it at $60. I know Nintendo does this a lot, but it feels like they're trying to phase out the $60 price point. But let's go ahead and move on to the final thing here, related to Nintendo themselves again. But the last thing here is actually an interview they had at the shareholder meeting with Furukawa, and basically they were asking him questions about different things with their company and the Nintendo Switch and everything. And some of them included, like, a new model of the Nintendo Switch, like with the Switch Pro and everything, but, like, it kind of expectedly, he just kind of wrote it off and said, oh, we're just gonna announce it when it's ready. But he never really deconfirmed anything, which is what a lot of people are getting from this. So, like, back at the beginning of the year, I think Nintendo was basically saying that no Switch Pro this year, it's not really gonna happen, which I think is what they did the same year as the Switch Lite. But then closer, like with this, they're saying, oh, we're not gonna show any details on any other Nintendo hardware at the moment. So that kind of points at, like, they're not really completely deconfirming anything. I'm not saying that something's gonna happen. I'm still kind of doubtful that a new Nintendo Switch model will come out this year. There's still a possibility, but it just seems like it's not really gonna happen. If it is, they might have, like, another game they announce with it, maybe like in November or something. But it just seems like they're just kind of doing the normal thing, kind of giving very vague answers, because they're not really gonna answer this stuff. And they also said some generic stuff about improving Nintendo Switch Online, and, like, they even touched on, like, the mini consoles, like with the NES and SNES and, like, retro games. They didn't really go too big into it, but you know how I am with the retro game preservation, like with Nintendo and everything. They're not doing a good job at it at all on the Nintendo Switch. And it would be nice for them to bring back Virtual Console, but I feel that it's kind of unlikely at the moment because of their, like, releasing separate games and stuff like that. So yeah, that was basically the interview. Not really much out of it. Basically kind of like the usual thing. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this episode of Reecee News. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.